This is Shabbos Chaf Aleph. We'll finish to see what a tachash is, the animal, and then we'll continue with lights on Shabbos. Tanya Kai, and we learned to corroborate the Rabbanon's impression of what a tachash is. They say that it's a kosher animal. Demar Rab Lazar, Rabbi Yotzi, Ravuhu, B'Shem Shibin, Ben Lakish, B'Shem Rabbi Meir, Kimin, Chaya, Tahira, Baruch, Hadash Baruch Hu, L'Moshe Midbar. Hashem created a pure, a tahar animal, a kosher animal for Moshe Rabbeinu in the Midbar, in the wilderness. Nigza, and now it is hidden away or extinct. Rabbi Avun, Amar Avu says, Keresh Hayashma. The name is Keresh. Now, how do you know this name is Keresh? Tana Rabbi Haishia. Rabbi Haishia taught in the Brisa. Dichado Keren has a single horn. It says, Vasita av Lashem Mishar Par Makrin Mafris. So it should be more pleasing for Hashem than the axe, horned and hoved. Now, Makrin, instead of saying Makrin, Mikeren Ksav Rachmana, it says Mikeren, from one horn. Therefore, it's a one-horned animal that lived in the Midbar, special for Moshe Rabbeinu. Tamon Taninan, we learned in the Mishnah over there. Kol hapachos mishloisha shloisha. Any cloth. Let's go back to the law about the cloth, that a cloth is going to be Makabel Tumah, if it's 3 by 3. So any cloth that is less than 3 by 3, Sheskinu Lafaik by Es HaMerchatz, that was designated to plug, let's say, pipes in the bathhouse, Ulanayres by Ekdera, or to pour out contents of a pot, in other words, to hold it, Ulakaneach Es Harechayim, or to wipe up the millstones, to use the shmata, Bein Habin Hamuchen, whether it's prepared for such purpose. Bein Jain by Mumuchen, it wasn't prepared for that purpose, Tameh, it can be Tameh. Then Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is machmer even for something that is less than 3 by 3. Rabbi Shua says, Bein min hamuchon, whether it's a pair, bein ein hamuchon, whether it's not paired, tahar, it's tahar. Rabbi Kiva says, min hamuchon tameh, if it was prepared for a use, then it's tameh, sheina ben muchon tahar. Otherwise tahar, because then it's just a piece of rag. But if it's something that's prepared for an actual use, it's coming a kli, then it can be tameh. Ma bein hamuchon, ma bein sheina lo muchon. What does it mean prepared? Prepared, not prepared, what does that mean? Bein she'achina l'soich habayis. Whether one already stored it as a cloth inside the house for future use. Bein shehalicha le'ashpa. Whether he threw it into the trash heap. Whether he threw it to the ashpa, into the trash heap, or whether he kept it. But tonight, we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer says, Af matlias chadosha kiyotze behem. Also, a patch of new cloth is similar to them. So what does it mean, af also? Does he agree with Tanakama that it's not tamei, and then af also a patch of cloth, or does he not? So v'les bar nash amar afafilu. He's not going to say afilu. Ella ade moidei kamaitza, unless he agrees with what happened before. So bein shachina litloisa. So what is it prepared for? So then Rabbi Eliezer means, they prepared it as a patch. Bein shaloyachina litloisa. Or it's not prepared as a patch. If it can be used as a patch, if it's going to be used as a patch one day, then it's makabel tumah. Hada yafa minahi. This is a new halacha now we get from this Mishnah. Vahi yafa min hada. And this Mishnah gets a new halacha from there. Hada yafa minahi. This Mishnah gets a new halacha from regarding kalim. Because Rabbi Eliezer who kipla. The ruling of Rabbi Eliezer, that even if it's folded, one, it could still be Makabel Tumah. Vahi Yafa Min Hada, and this one learns from there, Kishalai Hachino Tloisa, that if it was where it was not prepared as a patch, Aval Hachino Tloisa Tamehi. However, if it was prepared, then it is considered Tameh. So that's what we learn a new halakha, that if the preparing can make it, even if it's less than the size, can make it still Makabel Tumah. Umay Taima Rabbi Eliezer, and what is the reason of Rabbi Eliezer? Nase Kim Taher Kalim Shabbos, because he's considered the one who purifies his Kalim on Shabbos. So I'm going to ask, what do you mean he's considered Kalim Shabbos? If he use it, how is it purifying on Shabbos? Because what's the obvious question? The Gemara is going to say, you don't use it on Shabbos. If you're using a wick, it's before Shabbos. Mechevan Shekilpa Loy Tahara. That once the cloth is folded, it becomes purified. But Shechein Sham Shem Umnim writes him Kalipa, because an ex-Mateo desires it in the folded state. But again, that's fine and good, but it's used while it's still day. If it's used while it's still day, it's not being matar on Shabbos, it's matar before Shabbos. Rabbi Lazar b'shem Rabbi Shoshi, Rabbi Lazar saying the name Roshia. Okay, so maybe it's talking about Yom Tif that fell on Erev Shabbos and Friday, so therefore now he's using it on Yom Tif, so therefore the Tahara really happened on Yom Tif. But does the wick not become purified by itself? It happens automatically. It's not like he's doing something to make it tahar. Amar Rabbi Yosi b'Rabbi Bun. There's his name Bun. Tiftar shahaya ba shloisha mitzu motzos. So you have to interpret it as that with the cloth was exactly 3 by 3, and the second he lit it, it became less than 3 by 3. And becoming less than 3 by 3, he made it by his action of lighting. He made it now that it's going to be tumtar because less than 3 by 3. So his action of lighting it actually was enough. It didn't happen by itself, and therefore that's what we're talking about, according to Rabbi Lazar at least. Rabacha, Rab Simon, B'Shem, Rab Shimon, Zira, Asa, Mizar, Tahira. If he used the cloth as a bandage, it's tahar. So 1 second. But Shuraya B'Shemin, if one soaked in oil, like Kami Sha'asa Mazar, is not equivalent to having it in as a bandage, and yet Rabbi Lazar says if it's soaked in oil, it's still considered tamei. So it must be Rabbi Lazar was not going to agree with that, and he's going to say even if you use it as a bandage, it's still going to be kabel tama. Rabbi Zeira, Rabbi Yamai, Rabbi Yirmiyah, B'Shem Rabbi Yeshua, Ben Levi. Unlike the Bavli, I think we really have a long string of names we find consistently here that the Yerushalmi quotes. As a matter of fact, remember we had just the other daf where it actually asked about the yichus, about the merits of a person who actually quoted. So it seems like the Yerushalmi was very into trying to go back and quote whoever was the original one who said it, to go back as far as possible. Based on what we learned earlier in Masechet Shabbos, that if someone is going to quote, it's better to try to quote as early as possible because it takes you back to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai. So what do they say? Nirim Devarim Chetehei Halacha Rabbi Akiva. It appears that halacha should be really in accordance with Rabbi Akiva. Shu Omer Me'ein Shnehem. It should roll like Rabbi Akiva, because he says a little bit like both of those disputants. How is that? So with respect to a muchan cloth or paired cloth, designated, let's say, as a plug, Rabbi Akiva's view is like Rabbi Elazar, so it's tumah. And with respect to one that's when it's not muchan, when it's not prepared for anything, so that's with Rabbi Yeshua, and he's saying it's not susceptible to tumah. So therefore, he's really sort of like both of them. The Einai Ella Rabbi Yeshua. The really is like Rabbi Yeshua. Mikula Shloisha Shloisha. That one of the leniencies up by 3 and 3. If it was muchan, then it could be Kabbalah Tumah. But if it's not muchan, then it's one of the leniencies that is not Kabbalah Tumah. Okay. Loisav David Tahara. Rabbi Akiva's permit to allow something that's not muchan to be not tamei, to be tahara, does not end with the cloth. Ella filu tumeya. Rather, even in regards to susceptibility to tumah. So begin Rav. So because of Rav, the Rav says masikin bechelim. One may fuel fire with utensils. The ein masikin b'shivrei kelim, but not with broken utensils. And therefore we see that since Rav permits using the broken kelim for a fire, that even on Yom Tif, so therefore he's saying that they can become purified through the burning process by using them. And that is what something that we learn out from Akiva as well. Halacha 4. Lo yikayv adam sheferes shel beitza. A person may not perforate an eggshell. So let's say this is obviously making before Shabbos, and a person is going to set up a lamp azoi. Then he perforates an eggshell. V'yimalne shemen, and he fills it with oil. V'yitnena al pi haner b'shvil v'tehei man tefes, and he places it over the mouth of the lamp so that it keeps dripping slowly into the main reservoir of the lamp. So you have a lamp with the wick inside the main reservoir. This is above it, and it drips slowly into that main reservoir. As the main reservoir is being sucked out and being used as flame and fuel, this is dripping in. Afilu shulcharis, even if the reservoir is earthenware. Rabbi Yehuda Mater, Rabbi Yehuda says this is mutter. And we're going to see why cheres makes a difference. Im chibra hayoytzer mischila mutter. If the potter initially attached it, then it's mutter, according to everyone. Lo yimali adam as a karashemen. A person may not fill a bowl with oil. Vitnenu b'tzar haner v'yitain roisha psila b'soicha b'shvila shetain shoyveles. He's not allowed to fill up a reservoir in an oil lamp, then another bowl next to it, and then string the wick out of the main reservoir into this next bowl, so that it's not only going into the main reservoir, but it's snaked out and it's also dipped into the another bowl, and it will continue sucking oil from the bowl and from the main reservoir. Rabbi Yehuda says it's mutter. The Gemara is going to explain.